Oh, it's so cold. I might end up getting myself a cold flu one day. Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Mario here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch. So, last time we actually did manage to explore for quite a bit in the forms of New Donk City, in this case, Metro Kingdom. And we did manage to gather 20 of those power moons at the time. So even then, we haven't got as many of those power moons as I was hoping we will be. But don't worry, there will be still more to come, even by the forms of after beating the main games. So even then, excuse me. Yeah, today for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that we're going to be exploring through the next kingdom of the forms of Super Mario Odyssey, and that will have to be Snow Kingdom. In this case, at the moment, that as you can tell, everything else is super freezingly cold. So even then, though, could it be Princess Elsa might have been able to actually just to conquer everything in this kingdom? I'm just only kidding, because this was a different universe, but even then, that's not besides the point right there. So anyways, enough about that, you know, for that little pun, or joke rather. Let's just go ahead and explore for the outside portion of it for a little bit, because obviously we can't do anything in there at the moment, because, as you can tell, not only because the actual outside portion of the Snow Kingdom is actually freezingly cold, but also you can't see what's up ahead, because if you couldn't tell, everything else is all foggy. So even then, though, we need to figure out how to able to actually fix this problem, because, well, as far as the actual goal objective is concerned, we need to actually find a hole to actually fall down in, because, as you might as well know, is the fact that there might be something, even though that we've already taken down some of the snow here, and that way we could able to go all the way down for that largest drop ever, and next thing you know is we ended up the inside portion of this actual Shiverer town, which even then feels kind of weird to actually have a town in the underground portion of it. And first of all, we got ourselves a hint dodge right there, so let's go ahead and just press the capture button. See if I could able to actually just have a clue about that until whenever we go back into Lost Kingdom, because I can definitely recognize that specific location, because even then we'll soon to find out. Alright, so from the get-go, we got ourselves the first power moon in the Snow Kingdom, and as you can tell, the color on this particular kingdom this time around, though, is orange. So, until we're able to actually move along to the forms of Seaside Kingdom later down the road after this kingdom, and especially noticeable with the forms of, probably the most exciting kingdom of the bunch, but even then, though, we'll get to that sooner or later once we deal with the majority of the kingdoms themselves. So, anyway. From the start though, I think I should probably go ahead and just, yeah, we might as well go for a life up heart, and just to be able to expand our health meter and stuff, going back to or going up to 6, and every once in a while, let's go ahead and just, I haven't bought many of those costumes ever since the, Build a Mario costumes. Even then, I might as well able to purchase that specific cool outfit, which as far as I'm aware, the black suit, to be more specifically, because, well, it's one to be a little bit more cool than it ever will be, but it might be very inappropriate able to wear that in the cold weather these days, because most of the time, though, you might as well able to get freezingly cold. So anyways, here's the second power moon that we got, and that was the forms of, you know, just trying to able to do some shopping. And I believe the requirements of the forms of the power moons themselves in the forms of this kingdom is the fact that we need to able to take 10 of them. So even then though, that will be a shorter amount, but at least I don't mind about it too much though. So anyways, from the get-go though, we can able to actually go through full trials, which I might as well save the second door until for last, just because of how the fact that, well, we might actually come towards into something until later on. But for now, right off the bat though, we got ourselves these particular obstacles right there. I don't know exactly what their names were, to be honest, because again, it's been quite a long while since actually coming back into this game, because I was more accustomed to the forms of Super Mario Party from the Nintendo Switch at this point, but either way though. So in this particular section right there is the fact that we need to able to go ahead and collect those moon shards, and then once we do that, then as usual, the power moon will about to be appearing. So even then though, not too complicated and not too difficult either, so even then, no, that's as far as I can see how this will go, so... And yes, if you probably did not know already for this point, folks, my voice has actually got a little bit off today. It's probably because, you know what, I mentioned this before, that I managed to able to got myself a cold flu one day, which, speaking of such, I've actually got one right now. Because the reason being for that is because, you know, UK's country, weather-wise, is actually gotten really, really cold these days. But either way, though. But even then, it doesn't really matter because I'm usually inside the actual house the entire time. Well, to keep myself warm and all that stuff. Well, sometimes I went outings and all that stuff sometimes. But it's not something I usually decide to able to go out for somewhere during the outside portion of the forms of, like, you know, just trying to able to actually just walk around in the outside portion when it was like super dark or super cold or anything. So, anyways though, from here though, this is where we get ourselves our next power moon. In fact, it was actually inside this treasure chest, and that way we would get the forms of the power moon that says treasure in the ice wall. And that wasn't enough. We got another power moon right over there onto the pedestal right there. And then the actual mission applies itself. It says the ice wall barrier. So yes, this means we're gonna have to go through like 4 trials of those barriers, because obviously with the forms of how the fact that every time you collect one of those power moons, one of those Bowser doors will actually open up. So you can then know that every time you do that, then chances are one of these little Willet bears and all that stuff, sometimes they actually just block your block their progression when it comes to, like, if you really want to go back into the exact same section that you've missed out on something, well, chances are you're gonna have to wait for a while, because even then, once you've completed the task, because even then, or to be more accurately, the majority of the actual task, because even then, is there something shining in here? Because I get the feeling it might be another power moon. Yep, speaking of such, there it is. Shining in the snow in town. Excuse me about that. It's just how the fact that I'm a little bit cold around the edges though, because of my, you know, iffy nose again, and especially noticeable with the forms of, like, just a cold flu in general. So, expecting so, I'm probably not going to talk about it too much though, so... The Schifferins treasure chest. So, it's not that far from here though I think about it. So, anyways, let's do the next trial. So, I'm presuming the next trial we're gonna have to go and come across is, even though I've accidentally smacked myself with the wall, we're actually gonna be going through the Icicle Cavern. So, yeah, things can get a little bit more worked out as far as it will go. And, I believe the Power Moon requirements, or in this case, the secret, power moon that we can able to get is the fact that we need to able to once again stack up the forms of the Goombas to actually make a Goomba tower, and as a result, because as you can see here, we actually come across into the forms of that Goomba button right there, which meaning how the fact the matter is though is the fact that, well, obviously we need to let the drop shadow manage to get it there, or in this case just manage to appear, especially noticeable with that icicle manage to able to fall down the ceiling. And then once you do that, you have to activate the button that usually represents the Goombas, and then that way you get the power moon represents ice dodging Goomba stack. So yeah, it's not too bad though, and not too complicated either. So even then, whenever I've, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm pretty sure that whenever first time I played this game, back in about a year ago at this point, and I remember that how the fact the matter is though, I've accidentally skipped over for that, specific mission, just because of how the fact that I was in a rush and all that stuff, even for, well, I was really hyping by the forms of this game entirely though, so... However, though, I will admit though right away is the fact that my Nintendo Switch actually goes a little bit more... Oh yeah, I love doing that, because especially noticeable, if you're doing a speedrun tactics like I do here, then next thing you know, you might as well able to actually just skip over for that icicle sequence, which I do actually do like. The icicle barrier, as far as that mission applies. So, now we've actually unlocked 2 doors out of 4. So even then though, we're actually in the halfway point of it. So even then though, not long now though, until whenever I come across into a death situations and all that stuff for the time being. Because obviously how the fact the matter is though, since this kingdom applies is the forms of Snow Kingdom, there's going to be a lot of ice physics at times, because even then, you know how the fact that with the forms of the 3D games, especially with 2D games especially, sometimes you do have to cope with the forms of ice physics at times every once in a while. Even especially noticeable like some games like, you know, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, and especially noticeable with the forms of like, I would say by the forms of like, even though Grizzly Skyward Sword doesn't have the a snowy environment dungeon, unlike in the forms of every other dungeons in the past Zelda experience, but either way though, that's just a little bit more accurately leniency and stuff like that. So, anyways though, once you take down, or in this case, if you want to let the icicles take down these cracks of the actual like, you know what you're trying to see here. That way you can able to actually just let the giant icicle, you know, platform obstacle. That way you can able to actually let that icicle thing down, and then we should able to actually just to get to that normally. So even then, now that's how you do it normally, but I always tend to do like a hardcore abilities and all that stuff, mainly by the forms of the awesome cap skip jump, and especially noticeable with the forms of the normal long jumps in general too. With Chill Cavern, so I can assume that we actually come across into these returning enemies ever since in Super Mario 3D World, which we have, those are Typhloop. And basically, just like in the forms of Super Mario 3D World, basically it'll try to blow you hard, and then as a result for this little tradition, if you manage to get blow so hard by the forms of those enemies here, you get knocked, or in this case you're able to get blown off, and then as a result it leads you to dangerous hazards, mainly by the forms of like bottomless pits and stuff like that. And even especially in this game's case, we need to avoid the poison water, because if you manage to touch by the forms of that specific poison water, you'll automatically die, so you just have to watch out for that. So, but aggressively, you can die as many times you want to this time around though, which I think is actually a good thing, because obviously if you make simple mistakes, then you would able to try that segment again. So even then though, that's the only thing I loved about this game. The fact of the matter is though, is that there was no such thing as extra lives throughout this time around though, specifically in this game. So, yeah, you get the idea with that solution right there. And for crying out loud, it's not even Christmas yet. Oh jeez, what are you like, some enemies? Because obviously, most of the enemies did manage to able to wear some Santa hats every once in a while, like Typhloop managed to wear one, and especially noticeable where the Goombas managed to also wear those as well. So, it might be a bit too early to celebrate Christmas, don't you think? Because obviously we still got 2 months time before that event is about to start. So yeah, today was actually forms of the 17th of October in 2018, and we've only got 2 more days left until Luigi's Mansion 3DS Remake, at least for the forms of the UK version, is about to be released. So, now from what I've heard about the forms of the reviews of that version of Luigi's Mansion, it might be summarized as the forms of somewhat mixed bag. Because of that though, unlike the superior way playing Luigi's Mansion, which is the forms of the Nintendo GameCube, because the game introduces by the forms of like, you know, the capabilities with the forms of the dual analog sticks for the GameCube controller. Sorry about a little bit of attention right there. And also by the forms of how the visuals do look absolutely stunning back in the day, in 2001/2002 for those who lived in UK. So, well, at least mine self included, because you know how the fact that Luigi did recently tackle through pretty much everything but the forms of the original Luigi's Mansion game for the GameCube. So even then, next thing he needs to go through at this point is the fact that since that Luigi's Mansion 3 will be on its way on the Nintendo Switch, so that means he'll might as well able to actually go through Luigi's Mansion 2 as far as for that particular Let's Play. But the only thing he needs to able to work on is the recording session on that. So even then, on his case, for this matter, the setup for the actual recording session on Luigi's Mansion. So even then, we don't know exactly how this works though, but hopefully we'll definitely find things out during that time until next year. But not now though, because we've already got plenty of days until like, I don't know, something else will happen during that time. So, anyways though, as you can see, I've managed to able to wear something appropriate to able to actually just manage to able to get to this particular door there, because the reason why we need to wear this costume to begin with, just because of how the fact that since this level applies is to how the fact that it is ridiculously chilly, even pretty cold for the actual weather standards, and basically this actually leads you to this 8-bit 2D sections. Even then though, it's been quite a while since I actually see these 2D sections, ever since in the Noondonk City the Traditionals Festival, and yeah, that's what I can really think about. And of course, you still need to worry about buddy forms of the ice physics every once in a while. So let's go ahead and farm some more coins. Even buddy forms of like, if I want to buy something like more power moons and stuff like that in the later kingdoms. Well, to be more specifically, buddy forms of the Seaside Kingdom coming up, and especially noticeable for pretty much everything else for this was audible for that, really. So, anyway, so in this normal regular mission, it's very simple. Basically, we need to grind. Or in this case, you have to get all 5 of those moon shards, and that's about it. So even then, there's also a second moon in here somewhere though, but we might as well try to get that if I manage to continue exploring for quite some time. But even then though, if not, then I'm also able to actually just to go ahead and just hit back into the forms of the actual warp pipe, and then I would able to actually double check in to see if was anything missing I was miss on. So I do know there's an alcove at the top there, but to be honest, I think I might actually come back for that as soon as I'm able to grab this power moon first. So even then, yeah, I believe we've actually got that enough amount of the forms of the power moons we can able to get moon shards in a cold room. Because yeah, not only because of how the fact that we actually got quite enough of those power moons that we can able to actually access to the forms of you know, Seaside Kingdom, but also by the forms of how the fact that I'm not sure what to expect, to be honest with you guys, because obviously there's not much else I can really talk about this at this point in time, other than, well, this game was almost a year old. Even then, since we're still on the 17th of October at this point, and until 10 days later, this game is gonna be a year old. So, and speaking of such, My Little Pony the movie, to be more specifically the 2017 counterpart, is actually a year old already. At least to be more specifically on the American version, because the European version, or the UK version rather, didn't manage to release that during the 20th of October, which was a week before Super Mario Odyssey releases. So even then though, a little bit of an opportunity for me though, but I was really excited between both of those products in the forms of an October month during about a year ago at this rate. So even then though, that could be something pretty much matters. So even then though, let's go ahead and continue on, and I think we should probably do the 4th and the final trial before we're able to actually unlock the 4th and the final door, until you're able to actually lead us to the very, very bottom of the forms of that specific section, and there we can able to traverse through snowy mountains. So, and fundamentally it's going to be another one of those regional coins. In fact, we're going back into the forms of just only 15 regional coins to able to grind through, as you can see, because as you can see, the regional coins shape almost a shape like a snowflake. So because, you know, as far as this kingdom theme applies, it's basically a snowy based level. So even then though, that could be summarized from that. Before we continue on, I do actually realize there might be something hidden from over there. And from there we get ourselves another power moon, which usually says behind Snowy Mountain. So, yeah, not bad altogether though. Oh, why do I do that? Oh, I'm such an idiot. Oh, that was my fault. I think I actually accidentally jinxed it for myself whenever I was like, keep turning around and all that stuff, so that's probably my fault. So, oh well, we'll try that again, but this time around though, as you can tell, that my life up heart is now no longer existence with me, so that's kind of stinks, but oh well. Not too much of a big of a deal, I will admit though right away, but either way. So let's go ahead and just get out another tornado, and this way it actually leads us to a big slippery ice risk and all that stuff. And I believe this actually leads us to another bosses, mainly by the forms of these guys return. Okay, seems pleasant enough. Ha 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 ha. We got the frosted cake. The Bowser boss man sure is fuzzy about cake. Wrecking. We got him. The best one though. Okay, sounds a little bit more controversial right there. So yeah, apparently we're gonna have to fight against one of those little brutal rematches yet again, or in this case for a second time, because even though it might be still the exact same method to able to actually deal with these guys, but the noticeable difference is this time around though is the fact that with they always have their different attacks. Like for instance, normally, but in forms of this guy is the fact that even though I can't really remember their names now because of how the fact that I was way too busy on other projects these days. Because basically, you know, you probably noticed that in the last video, so... Anyway, though. So yeah, but for this particular boss, you know, it plays exactly like how it does it from before, except the fact that now he spawns in 2 hats instead of 1. So even then, though, that could be summarized for that. So, I think it's a good thing that we actually deal well with this guy, or in this case, deal with Snowy Mountain Room for last, just because I feel like with, in addition to the actual boss itself, that way we can able to actually just go ahead and just deal from there. Alright, so I don't know how many power moons that we've got right now. I'm pretty sure we've actually got ourselves like 14 now. A Snowy Mountain Barrier. And since we've done all 4 of those trials, this means the actual alcove is now opened, which actually leads us to the now final mandatory mission on this particular kingdom, the Bound Ball Grand Prix. Could this mean we can able to deal with a race? Well, that could be pretty much summarized it for that stuff, so even then, we might as well get this thing to it. I really do love the music in this level though, it sort of feels more accurately, almost reminds me of like the forms of like, I don't know, something completely random, but I digress. Wow, that's quite a big drop there. Snow Line Circuit, okay, seems promising enough, and if you go over there, you find yourself Cat Mario 8-bit rendition of Cat Mario, so one pointing out because, you know, thanks to the forms of Super Mario 3D World, and even the Cat Mario show by the forms of, you know, from present day, well, usually for most years nowadays, so yeah. Alright, so it's important to know we need to go over there, although before we do that, actually, I need to see what's in here, most notably by the forms of those regional coins I managed to found. And I think that's about it for the most part on this section, other than if we manage to able to like go for this particular alcove right inside here, and that way we should able to find this guy that he seems a little bit anxious. Race? I don't want to. The other races are too serious. I don't stand a chance. If someone else wants to race, they would be welcome to take my place. I know something is a little bit more convenient for you. I think I should able to possess you, even by the forms of trying to capture you. So yes, you can able to actually just manage to, you know, trying to able to interact with, capture any kinds of, NPCs and whatnot, which I think is actually really, really swell. And because of that, though, that way we can able to actually, like, I think it's important to note that we need to use this particular, guy to able to actually anticipate it for races, because, well, obviously, if you want to able to accept the challenge for those, couple of, races and all that stuff, this means we need to able to keep on using this guy for, you know, just for the sake of, like, anticipating it for it. Because if you don't, then you have to keep on looking for him, and then if you do found him, then it's your chance to able to have yourselves a race. But before we do that, actually, that since you're first time playing the game, you're actually able to give you the forms of ability to train yourself before entering the competition. So, but I digress. So control-wise, you have to maneuver around with the analog stick, of course, and press the B button, or just shake the Joy-Con down, or even especially noticeable with the Switch Pro controller, that you can able to actually do a bound. And then once you do that, as soon as you're able to actually get yourselves your good timing going, this means your momentum will able to carry forward a little bit. Like for instance, the mission where we're in right now is the forms of the Bound Ball Grand Prix. And the ultimate goal in these missions is the fact that we need to obviously claim first place. So, very standard stuff though, just like if you ever played Mario Kart games before, to be more specifically by the forms of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch, and I'm really excited by the forms of Mario Kart Tour, about to be happening and during at some point next year. So even then though that, well, I'm dead excited about it. So even then though, yeah. So yeah, this racing mechanic, or in this case, this particular game right there for the Pound Ball Grand Prix is very simple, self-explanatory. So even then, assumingly, sorry, about the fact that matters though is the fact that once you're able to get your timing going, then you were able to accomplish with this mission no problem, even with the actual race itself. So even then, yeah, that's what a great thing about. So, the only thing I'm not too crazy about today is the fact that my Nintendo Switch is going a little bit noisy when it comes to my fans and all that stuff, but I think it's most likely because, well, I think that's what the system can do. But I digress. So, I really can't speak today. I really can't speak for this point today, folks. So I do apologize for that because, well, you know, I'm still got a little bit cold around in the edges, but either way. So since we've claimed first place, that means we can able to get ourselves, I believe this might actually be the only multi-moon that we can get in this kingdom, because just like the Lake Kingdom, well, there's only like one mandatory mission that we can able to actually just to go after for. So, and plus with the addition to those, 50 regional coins that we can only get for the time. So yeah, I think we've pretty much wrapped things up by the forms of, well, Snow Kingdom, pretty much, when it comes to the main run-through of the game. Although there are still some other missions to go through, because as you can see, the fogginess is now gone. So, look, the sun's out. It's still cold, though. Yeah, I will admit, though, Cappy, it's still pretty cold out there. So even then, though, yeah, I guess that was about it, obviously. Before we, get into that, however, though, I just need to double check on something. Is it possible that I can able to go ahead and just get into this area where I was just simply trying to accomplish the shortcut? I'm guessing no, because it's way too far away from it. So we got to find another way to do that, though. So even then, I will try to figure this out. So I know I do apologize, but the forms of my dialogue is actually gone not too much, because obviously because I just got my rough cold here and there, so my voice sounds a little bit more depressing at points. But either way, though, it might be not as pleasant as it should be, though. But hey, until tomorrow, though, I would become better nonetheless. So anyways, though, before you're able to end this video off, let's insert those power moons, if you can see right there. And as a result, we've actually got ourselves 258. So naturally, we've only got ourselves like 17 power moons, even though it doesn't usually compares to a larger amount than the forms of the previous videos ago, but I digress. And from here, we can now able to get into the forms of Seaside Kingdom, but of course we can't do that just yet though, because I'm gonna have to end things off at this point right there. So join me next time on Let's Play Super Mario Odyssey. Is the fact that we're gonna be continuing exploring for Snow Kingdom to do some more tasks and power moons grinding. So yeah, see you guys next time. Later, fellas.